Hey guys, welcome back to another voiceover. So for this voiceover, I'm going to be working on the first safe for work illustration for the new couple comic I'm gonna make after I went to watch the movie, which was pretty good, although spoilers, it did kind of end on a cliffhanger, but I would like to pair them up. So I already got quite a bit of stuff set up already. Background, I took screenshots from a YouTube video of parts of the movie for that. It's a combination of screenshots and photo texture. So the bag is, I went on Google and found a bag and then colored it turquoise. So the main theme, the main color theme is gonna be this type of sunsetty color. And I got my lines already done, and I decided to keep the lines as separate as possible. So head, hair, and body on separate line art layers in case I want to move things around and whatnot. And, I kind of had to age them up just a little bit for this comic. So that is what I have so far. So the idea is Miles gonna sneak up behind her and give her a little surprise. It's nothing dirty. It's gonna be wholesome for the first three parts of this comic. But yeah, this is what I have. Alright, as you can see, I got my color references right here. And as you can see, I had a bit of trouble with her face because, her face is very stylized, something that I'm not very used to. So I grabbed plenty of references. And these are my two color slash face reference for her. And overall, a very interesting project to work on because it's so different from my usual style. But I look forward to it. And since I have line art already and stuff, I think it's gonna be a little bit easier for me in terms of trying to get the style because I already kind of solidified the style a bit with the line art and stuff. Yeah, I have a lot of layers and this is my background layer, lots of different ones right here. Okay. So I'm just trying to remember what did I do for that peach process. I'm gonna try to basically do the same thing. So, oh, this part is gonna be a little tedious. I guess I can start off with the skin tone because it's gonna be like the part that's underneath everything. So we're gonna go ahead and actually before I do the skin, okay, I'm just trying to remember what I did for last time. So we're gonna go through the tedious process of selecting each of her character parts. So all the hair, outfit, and all that on separate layers. The idea is to make her hair a little bit longer on both sides. Most of the changes will probably be seen in Miles when he gets swollen stuff. But yeah, Gwen, I didn't really change her that much apart from the hair and stuff. I guess I would actually I was aiming to make her body a bit more toned with a bit more muscle, but I try to still keep her figure pretty slim. Usually I would go a bit thicker, but this time I wanted to try to keep her slimmer and stuff. Alright, hair is done. Copy, paste. And I'm gonna select the base color. Let's go with this based on the color reference that I have. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and do the outfit. So let's do the pink part of the outfit. So her hoodie and then her arm. I also wanted to make the hoodie sleeve, this part, to be pink as well. So I'm gonna try to see how this looks. Hopefully it won't look too weird. Let's see. That's the idea. I did a little character sheet for her, and I intended to kind of have them both wear hoodies. It's just different color, but same sort of design. Oh, actually, no, the inside of that hoodie is not pink. This part is, though. I'll just carefully select it. I feel like 1/3 of this voiceover is gonna be on selecting stuff. I believe there's a bit of pink underneath this area of the arm. Okay, I think I got everything that's supposed to be pink. Yep. Copy, paste. I'll just name this pink and name this hair. And for the pink, I'm gonna go ahead, grab that pink, probably make it a little bit on the bright side because I'm gonna... What? What's going on? Why is it not... Okay, that's why. Because that thing was on the wrong mode and stuff. After I will make some slight corrections and adjustments. Oh, let me remove that. I'm gonna go back to the base color and we're gonna do the white base now for her suit. So this one, I could probably be a little bit more messy with my selections because it's gonna be underneath all the other stuff that hasn't been selected yet, so I can just kind of actually I should probably select the hand cleanly. Oh, I think I messed up here. This just takes a bit more time and stuff. Got that hand. And also this part is white as well. trying to remember what that character sheet I did look like. Okay, I think I made the inner part of the jacket black on the character sheet. Copy paste, white, lock it in, and then I'm just gonna be, wow, how different is that? Okay, let's use this color based on the reference. So the main theme that I see with the colors leaning more towards purple and warmer tone. Okay, got the white part of her outfit selected and filled in. Next, let's do the inner area of the jacket. Before that, clean up of the white part a bit more, and then I'm gonna go ahead and basically kind of select the inner part of the jacket, and being not very careful about it. Alright, let's go with this, and inner jacket. Let's go with like a dark navy blue instead of full-on black. And I'll go ahead and clean up some of the area that's kind of sticking out. Go back to inner jacket. Just making sure everything's filled. Oops. Okay. That should do it. Go back to white, clean it up. Then, time to do the black portion of her outfit. The iconic Spider-Gwen design. Okay. This part is really... I need more concentration. Yeah, it can get a little boring here. I just know that I'm gonna have to do this like 7 different times. But I will get through it. I should try to explore other programs like Clip Art Studio. That one is a very commonly used amongst artists that I have not tried yet, so maybe I'll give it a try. It could help a lot. Okay, so selected the black part of the outfit. Let's put it here, lock it, and then let's go ahead and fill that in. Filled up. Since it is quite a strong color compared to the rest of the colors, you can see the imperfections a lot more. So we have to go and manually fill in some of these imperfections that you see. Okay, that looks good. I think that should do it. Go back to the white. And I need to clean the hip up a bit. Every now and then I would check up on the how clean the lines are. Save real quick. Next up, I'm gonna lower the opacity for the black portions. It is a bit too dark because I'm getting ready to select the main jacket now. Oof. Just trying to be as careful as I can. Actually, maybe I can just move this layer right here somewhere in between so it doesn't mess with it. Next part of the jacket. I mean next side of the jacket more like. Well, I suppose this part of the process might take a bit longer, but it's a good setup for blending for sure, I think. I think I got everything. Copy, paste, jacket, lock in the layer, and then I'm gonna go ahead and fill in with the color that I had in mind, but I think I'm gonna play around with it. Well, the initial idea was to pick a color that matches her palette, color tone palette, which is white, pink, and turquoise. So I think blue matches it pretty well. I can even make this part, let's say, this color. It's not too bad. Well, if anything, I can always change the color itself. Or I can play around with it by just going through the hue saturation. I've always been a big fan of blue slash turquoise and pink. So I might end up with the sky blue. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna clean up the imperfection as well. I think everything's good, and all that's left to do is basically to do the face color. So I will just copy that little part and say skin. Delete, come on! I always get annoyed when I accidentally scroll down too much and then my taskbar pops up. Okay. Last but not least is the phone. So I'll just go ahead and grab it real quick, name it, and then delete the main block in gray color. Alright. So, I mean, I was gonna go for turquoise foam, but I like the blue. It's pretty. Go back to the white. Just gonna clean it up now. Okay, that's done. And then the skin. Let's start off with this color. Oh, that is. Let's see if I can make it a little bit paler, but that blends in with her hair. Hmm. Let's go with this. It's a bit more beige. I'm going to go ahead and paint in the base color for her. Just a very, very base color with no shading whatsoever. I should probably also fix the eyebrow shape. I forgot to keep an eye out on how tapered her brows are towards the ends, like the front end and the back end, which I only did for the back end. Yeah, her facial feature is pretty important, so I try to be as accurate as I can. If I'm not, then I don't think the character is gonna turn out very well in terms of how close I can get her to look like her. And I want her to look as close as possible. And then last but not least, the the eyes color. Okay, that looks fine. Let's go ahead and briefly uh, do a selection of the lollipop, and then gonna fill it in. That says slowly. There we go. That's the right spelling, I think. So the blue is, I guess I'm just going for that matchy-matchy look. Or at least I want the lollipop to stand out, so. A cool tone it is. Actually, this color is pretty nice. It blends in quite nicely. Alright, so Gwen is all blocked in with her base color. Let's go to Miles, although I had in mind that he's doing his camouflage thing, so it wouldn't be as visible, and the effect is gonna be a transparent looking thing. But I think I should probably still do the base color for it. So let's go ahead and put it at 100% first. Remove that. So this is the base that I have. Why is there a dot there? Let's see. Trying to find the dot. It's on the lines. Put a multiply, lower it slightly. Well, he's all covered up, so I won't have to do skin tone or anything. I just have to pay attention to his spider suit. Gonna find a nice big reference for this. Good thing his outfit is quite, I mean, it's since it is stylized, it's not too complicated in terms of color schemes. A nice and simple design, so I'll just go ahead and do that. So for his, I think I'm gonna select his hoodie first, since it's gonna be the only other clothing he has on that's a different color than the main suit color. So I will just select his jacket. And since it's a similar style to Gwyn's, it's just gonna have a different color palette. I tried to give them certain matchy-matchy stuff. But yeah, this is pretty fun. It's fun for me to sort of try to draw the likeness of different characters with different styles. So I did the Peach and Bowser, and then I also did the Genshin Impact Otome comic. So that was a comic switch to more of an anime look, which was interesting. I used to draw a lot of anime, so it was fun for me. And I do like to draw, I mean, I like, stuff for targeted towards female audience because I'm female myself, so I like that kind of like shoujo and otome kind of stuff and yaoi stuff. So I do like creating those type of stuff. It's just I don't get enough demand for that type of stuff. So most of my stuff is more catered to my fans, although I still enjoy it, just not as much. But this I really like because they are both character I don't draw often, and I like their faces. And it's a different type of comic style, so this is gonna be interesting. So I selected his jacket, and the color I had in mind for it is quite similar to the jacket he has in the movie. I don't know if it was in the first one or the second one, but it's like this dark turquoise, or maybe this color. Yep, it's that color. And then I wanted then the inner jacket part as well as this part to be a dark red to match kind of his whole outfit theme, which is dark navy and red. But this one will be like a muted dark red. Although I don't think it'll matter too much for this panel in particular because he's gonna be slightly invisible. Copy paste. Here we go, muted red. I hope the color palette ends up working out. Something like that. So this is gonna be sort of like a contrast to the hoodie I put on Gwyn. Hers is like colorful and stuff, and his is a bit more muted. And also, it's better this way because if I made his jacket super colorful like hers, then there would be slight bit of clashing between these two characters, and I like the contrast between different elements for characters so that, one of them could stand out a bit more, and that character is Gwen. But I do plan on making Miles uh, render him out nicely too, so that they can both get equal attention in the later panels. Okay, so now I will just go ahead and color the base this color because that's the base color for that. I am also gonna start cleaning up the edges here. I do tend to have very wobbly type of hands, so a lot of times a lot of these areas needs to be cleaned up actually, yeah. Very wobbly. I need to try Clip Art Studio to see if it's any good. So I did try to use Paint Tool Side for line art for a bit, but actually coming back to Photoshop again for the line art, I just turn on the pressure, the pen pressure, and I kind of prefer doing lines in Photoshop at the moment. And maybe I'll give Clip Art Studio a try. Not sure if that's gonna be better. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what Miles' design look like. Alright, so the inner part of his glove is red. I'm going to slowly add that small detail into his palm. And I think this is going to be a nice little pop of detail for him. For his very, very simplistic, in terms of color palette, spider suit. Which, thank God for that. I'm just gonna carefully do that. Let's see what else. Okay, let's go for that for now. Copy, paste, lock it in. Grab that color from the reference and then apply it. Ah, he looks a little spooky like a ghost. Perfect, that's perfect. Because he's supposed to be giving his girl a scare. It's like that type of cute coupley stuff where you scare each other and try to give each other big scares and stuff. Okay, I think that should do. And then just to see how it looks, I'm gonna lower the opacity. Oh, definitely needs to be shaded up and have the effect applied, which is gonna be similar to in the game Spider-Man, Spider-Verse game, where it's just gonna be like a glowy border effect. At least I hope it's gonna work out, and then pop back on the back, which will need to be painted over because this is literally a photo I took from the internet, and we need to edit this a bit. Alright, so there we have it. The first part is all done. Nice base, complete. Steps. I shall report my steps as well. There we go. time to start putting in some shadows. So gonna basically use the same technique I did for the previous piece, so I have all my color all readied up, and then I just start by applying a filter of shadow. But first, I must use this. Put it on normal. Grab an effect, any effect, and then let's do this. So I'm thinking first, where is my shadow gonna be? I'm going to reference the photos I have above, and we're gonna do a similar type of shading. So I'm just going to try my best first to select her face and the general shading it might have. So I'm just gonna do it kind of rough, and then I will actually no wait, I will use a layer, constrain it down, and let's select a shadow color. So the shadow color I see is most likely either purple or something like that. Ooh, I guess I got it right. So it is somewhat of like a light purplish tone. Then I can kind of tweak it around as well. But the main idea is just to have this color. Oh gosh. There we go. Grab that. Put it back into multiply. And I will just do like a general shading with it throughout the whole design. I suppose I don't have to be super clean about it, but it does help in the later times. I'm gonna try my best to keep her as not busty as I can. I have a tendency to draw busty ladies, but for Gwen, I'm gonna keep her slim, just kind of like how she's built, slim and toned. So pray for me that I don't end up making her thick. But I think it'll be easier this time around because I have line art. But before with painting, I just kind of naturally tend to go thicker. But with line art, I feel like I have a guide, so I try not to kind of go outside of it. I kind of wanted to do like this type of thing where this whole part is in shadow, something like that, you know? Still not sure yet, but it's a good thing I have just like a separate layer for the shadow, or the shadow to be. I mean, this is only one of the ways to do the shadows. Let's zoom in a bit, and I'll just handle some of these smaller details. So the lighting based on the reference coming from top left, so everything else, all of the shadow at least is gonna be kind of aiming towards the bottom right. So usually I just think about that while I paint, and it should basically, I, I suppose if you paint enough times, you'll kind of just adjust to that type of thing. But it always helps to kind of think about it when you're working on a piece like this, like constantly, where is the lighting coming from? And even sometimes there you have the creativity to do some creative lighting, I call it, that might not necessarily make sense. give her a little bit of eye bag definition, and then in the reference she has a tiny bit of shadow underneath her eye. I'm gonna go ahead and use the blur tool, which is not as good as the blending in Paint Tool side, but hey, we gotta work with what we can in Photoshop for now. So her nose is like a button nose, so I try to line it out. Trying to shade the lollipop. Next up, add a bit of shading to the hair. I guess if I'm a little bit more detailed with my shading and more careful in the later stages, it might be a lot faster. So that is exactly what I will try to do. So normally when I used to paint, basically I didn't do stuff like this. Although I was pretty used to just painting freestyle. It definitely took a lot longer because I didn't plan it out, I just kind of went with it. And also painting full-on illustration just requires way too much effort, and then also I end up being super picky about it, so that took extra time to fuss over some of the details. I suppose it's just a personal preference. Like, for me, in terms of comics, every page doesn't need to be perfect. So there's not as much pressure as I would have with just like a singular illustration. But yeah, with comics, the main point is to convey a fun storyline, something interesting, a saucy scenario, that type of stuff. And as long as you make it interesting and engaging, it doesn't matter if your page isn't perfect. At least that's what goes on in my mind when I do this type of different illustration. I guess it's a bit more fun. So yeah, I'm doing it these days. And I feel like I can be a bit more expressive doing these type of stuff. And the colors I use tend to be a bit more colorful because comic stuff, you want people to feel engaged in the story. At least that's the style I'm aiming for. Alright, time to shade up the jacket. Let's do like a base color for the jacket. I mean the base shading for the color. It's gonna be rough. Rough, 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 rough. Still trying to figure out how to do social media type of painting process, but I'm gonna get there. I think that should do. I'm gonna clean some of these up. I'm just going to blur some of this area. Going back to the sleeve, trying to convey the the folds as best as I can. Yeah, I think it's getting there, but still not enough shading. Still not enough shading. And then after I'm done, I can play around with the gradient of the shading itself. Mm, Let me zoom in here. I wanna do something like this where it kind of tapers off, sort of, towards the bottom. There isn't really that much shading underneath her eyes. We'll just add a bit. The phone is all ready and go. Her phone is pretty simple in terms of the design. Doesn't really wanna go for that much of a fancy phone, just a basic one, you know. There's a lot of stuff that can be simplified with just like a comic page instead of a illustration. I guess that's like the standard I set for myself. Although I do still try to render it out a bit because, you know, still want to do a little bit of rendering since I'm used to it. Oh, let me see if I can give her a little bit of abs. I did want to tone her up a bit. So the idea is for her birthday, they're going to they're gonna have fun around the Spider-Verse. That's the idea. Oh, I don't think I like that. I'm gonna redo that part. So we'll just look back here a bit and then redo the shadow. That should be good. Alright. So first base shadow complete. Now we will go to Miles and do the same thing. Create any random filter, doesn't matter. Normal, and then create a new layer for the shadow, and the shadow I pick, I will just stick to the same one I use for Gwen. Save real quick because we always want to save just in case Photoshop crashes, because that has happened in the past and I don't want that to happen with this. So I have to think about this a bit. I do want Miles to be more in the shadow, so maybe what I can do is I'll have most of him in shadow. I wonder what this is. There's like random streaks on his glove. Not sure what that is. Oh, it's not even in the lines, then why? Why is it... Why is there streak on his glove? I can't figure it out. Why is that? It's not in Gwen layer. Is it here? It's not that. It's not in the lines. Oh, I know now. What? Hold on. Is it not this? Nope. Nope. Okay, never mind. I thought I knew what it was. Okay. Well, I guess I'll figure it out later. I don't know why there's streaks on his hand. I tried to find out why, but I guess sometimes you just can't figure it out, but I'll try to figure it out later. For this, for this, I'm basically going from shadow to highlight. Since most of Miles, I want him to be in shadow, being all spooky and sneaky. So I'm gonna add some rim light after, just around his silhouette. I don't know how lazy I can get away with this part, but let's try it out. So I wanted him to be kind of like this figure in the dark. That's why I didn't give him his mask detail or anything like that. But I might have to do that. Depending on how vague this needs to be. If I'm able to get away with it, I won't be adding the details, but I might add the details if it doesn't make sense to me. Let's add some one-off highlight. Okay, this should do. Let's test out how it looks if it was darker. Oh, that is a bit too dark. Let's do some experimenting. Might end up looking a little bit like this. Or like this. I'll try to figure something out with the effect. But he needs to look a little bit more transparent than this. I'll still do the base shading though. That's gonna be interesting. Alright, so base shading complete for these two. I'm gonna go into the background. This was the texture I overlaid on top of the screen grab. I kind of edited it into like this short wall she's leaning on. I'm gonna create a new layer, constraint down. Let's do multiply. And then, so I'm gonna test out this concept of shadow cutting like a straight edge like this. See if it's gonna look better. I do like it when there's like a something like this where the canvas, you could say, is cut into this type of way and we get more focus on the character this way too. So I'm gonna try to see how it would look with it looking like this. The bag will also get a bit of shadow. I don't know if it makes too much sense, but hey, this is what creative lighting is all about. Like, you think it looks like it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Does that make sense? It's all for the the composition, basically. That's what matters, not logic. Add a bit of a slightly darker hue like this. Really going for that color scheme. The color scheme of cool tone versus warm tone. That is very well done in more stylized cartoon rendering like Pixar. They're very good at that, which I admire quite a bit, and I tend to gravitate towards those type of color palettes because they look really nice, and I also want it in my art style. Alright, so I got basic color everywhere around, except for the bag. So I will do that for the bag as well. Multiply. This might have been the other color. This is the real color, the slightly purplish color. Actually, undo that. Let's go ahead, do a bit of shadow near this area. Kind of coming from Gwen herself on top of the backpack. Because every time, we have the opportunity, we gotta use it. Every opportunity we can to cut any type of stuff in the composition with highlight/lighting is always good in my books. It adds to the detail and it offers more opportunity to frame the character, you could say. So yeah. Although it doesn't really look that great, to be honest. It's not looking as good as I'd hope. Maybe we'll try another type of shadow. Maybe just like a little bit of this type with a focused shadow towards the character. Yeah, like that. Alrighty, so everything is good to go in terms of shadow. So now that that's done, let's go create a new layer, and this will be my second layer of shadow. Let's see how that's gonna work out for us. And for the second layer of shadow, let's move it towards pink a bit more. Let's say just a tiny bit darker than the previous one. Yes, this is the color. It's very similar to the reference I have. Also, before I do that, I must fix that nose shape. Now that I look at her reference here, her nose bridge is pretty thin, and there is a line there which I did not line. So I must emphasize it with shadow instead. Maybe that's a bit too thin, so I'll just make it a little bit wider. And then add a tiny bit of shadow like this to give the impression that her face is round. Okay, looking at that reference, maybe let's add a bit of highlight there. And then looking at the nose again, looking at the nose and how it it's rendered in the movie, like how does the 3D model look basically, and just kind of follow it as close as I can, and then at the end of it I can put my own little style into it, but gotta get it as close as possible to how it looks in the movie. Okay, next. This is the second part of the shadow. Okay, so those parts are accentuated. I'm gonna try to blend it in now. Her pink parts are probably not gonna be super detailed because I'm planning to make it look a little flat because of how neon it is in the movie as well. So yeah, so there won't be that much detail there. Let's go to the hair. Most of it seems to be in the shadow, so I will stack on the shadow a bit heavier on her hair. And I'm just gonna take a look here, see how that is. It's more of a blue tone, so I will have to um, kind of later on switch the colors up a bit. I guess I'll just try to keep it simple for this um, shadow, the second layer of shadow, and I will basically only put it in crevices and areas with a bit more folds and stuff to really sell the fold itself, but keeping the rest of the area untouched by this secondary layer of shadow. Ooh, it's so hard to see what's going on in her black suit because the contrast is intense and I can't really see much. I guess there wouldn't be too much detail going on in there. It's hard to see, and also in the movie, the black portion of her suit is pretty vague. There isn't too much detail in them, which is makes it easy for me. So you have been coming up with these silly titles because I've been noticing because I read a lot of like manga for women or fangirls. I use Renta to read. You have to pay. I think it's like $1 or $2 per chapter. But I like to support the manga artists, so I just spend some money on their reading stuff I find interesting, and a lot of their titles. It's like Japanese mangas. The titles are very interesting to me because it's always The titles are pretty long. Like instead of just like a normal title, like let's say um like three or uh actually no, two one word to three words, like a I guess a normal title. They have like what 6 to 20 words. It's a title that describes a situation. So I've been kind of using that as my title as well because I just find it really funny. Like for example, so this in this comic I'm gonna call it what's it called messing around in the Spider-Verse for my 19th birthday with my boyfriend, something like that, like a long title that describes the situation. But yeah, I'm not too sure when those type of mangas started doing that. I suppose I just wasn't aware of that. Uh, but yeah, I've been doing. I'm gonna title all my stuff like that in the future, just for fun. And it's probably the most I've written in my life. I don't normally write, just draw, because my English is pretty bad. So now I'm getting my friend to proofread it for me. She also uh, reads a lot of fanfic, so that helps. Okay, I think that should do it. It's a this is a pretty good start, I would say. A good base for rendering. Nice. So we'll just save that. Yeah, her eyes needs a bit more life in them, which I will do in the rendering phase. So now is the basic shading phase. Before, after. For some reason I always prefer the before. It's a it's a whole new aesthetic than when it gets shaded up and stuff. Alright guys, welcome back. I went ahead, did a bit of work on her face. Her face is pretty challenging because I was going for a pretty close resemblance to her in the movie, and her nose is pretty. It's just a little bit hard for me to get right. So this is the Photoshop version. Uh, but I think I'm still working on it. I think maybe uh, if I can import this into Photoshop, I could probably play around with her nose a bit more. But for now, this is what we have. And as you can see, I added the spider emblem detail onto Miles's suit as well as the mask detail. Although I'm not sure, I mean, they won't be as visible later on when I try to make him invisible, so I'm not sure. But I added it in because I also went through the other pages, and for the other pages, he has it on, so I might as well include it in the first page too. Alright, so worked on the hair a bit. Everything else is kind of, I just left it the way it was, mainly focus on the face and the hair because those two areas were the challenging bits. But with that said, time for us to go through each layer and do some rendering basically. So throughout, what I'll be doing is, oops, I want to see if I can kind of brighten up the color in some way. Because I was looking at one of the concept art for the Spider-Verse, and Gwen's outfit had this striking yellow slash warm tone for highlights, so I was hoping to kind of do the same thing for this piece. I already have a little bit of it, but it's definitely not enough, and I need to crank it up. Oh, I'm just gonna go ahead. I don't even know if, I guess I shouldn't worry too much about this phone thing. The phone detail isn't too important. I'll just add some basic shading detail for the hand. Alright, merge down. Next up is the skin, which I kind of already worked on, but as you can see, I tried my best to, I kind of move her nose around a bit. But her nose bridge, I think, should be a bit wider, so I'll just copy that section and then move it over. Try my best to fix that ish. And looking back at the style, definitely not my usual thing. So I need, like, I have a folder of her face because I need a lot of reference, and she has some freckles, which I did try to put on her face, but it's all kind of blurred out because I keep painting over her face. So I will give her freckles after I think her face is just right for this. Okay, I'm just looking back at the reference. Good thing there's a lot of reference for her facial structure and the style, which I would like to, if possible, keep it accurate or as close as I can to the actual her actual look. And then she has they have this particular way of rendering the eyes, which is interesting. I tried to do that real quick. Obviously needs a bit more work. And then her eyebrows pretty important as well because that's what gives her a lot of expressive power, which is super important when it comes to storytelling and stuff like that. Zoom out real quick. Actually grab a bit of the yellow that I've already got on the face. Add a tiny bit underneath. Emphasize the fold, her fold with her fold underneath her eyes. Zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, and then flip every once in a while, just to kind of make sure that nothing's overdone or it's too much. Alright, so we do a little before and after. Okay, let's move on from the face because I did work on it for quite a bit. Next up is the inner jacket, which I didn't really work on too much, but at the same time, there isn't that much to be done as well. So let's go with screen, and then I would like to add some warm tone onto this jacket near where the highlight is supposed to be coming from. Just add a bit, just a bit. Oh. Although I don't think I guess it's not that important. Zoom out, merge down, and then I will select it once again. And because I don't know how to add on to my selection, I do it bit by bit for those three areas where there's super bright color. And I try to intensify it, make it a little bit more yellow, zoom out again, flip, and then blend in. Gradually, I will try to get close to the color palette that I want, that I see in the movie a lot, like this very nice warm tone contrast with purple and blue. That's the goal for, at least for this part, and the two other parts after this. It's also, the setting is, in there, well, in Miles' world. And the other setting will be in other, just like random worlds. So the lighting will be a bit more different, but for this one, we're gonna aim for warm and cool tone. Merge down. Next up, the white portion of her suit. So for this part, I'm going to go ahead, copy the layer, clip group, which is constraint down, and I'm going to zoom out here, and I want to switch the shading up a bit to match the one of the reference I have for her, which is a lot of purple, which I already have, and the major other change will be the yellow. And I will kind of almost replace the paler color with more yellow. Perhaps even increase the purple shade. Next up, I'll just sort of blend it all in. I'm going to use a slightly darker color for that armpit shadow. So right now, zoom out, looking a lot more, looking like it's standing out a lot, which is good because we want the focus to be on Gwen first, and then slowly drift to Miles and then to the background. So, okay, and then I'll just spend a bit of extra time kind of blending it in, although her suit is quite smooth in terms of textures, so I don't think I'll need to put too much detail on it. Maybe just maybe let me try. No, probably not. I was gonna try to put some like clothing folds, but my read is a bit too messy on her because we want to keep her outfit slick. Since all the Spider-Man outfits are quite slick, so hers needs to be slick as well. Keep it with the similar aesthetic and all that. With that said, I think I might need to remove the folds here too, because it does read as a little bit too busy and probably makes her outfit not as sleek looking. So I thought it might have been like a cool little detail, but you know, after trying it out, I'm going back to how it was before. Zoom out. Just giving her a bit of cleavage, although trying my best to keep her pretty slim. But I want to make her look just a little bit older. I don't think she'll change that much in like 2 years. So just a tiny bit. But yeah, I've been enjoying coming up with cute scenarios for some of the ships that I like, which is kind of fun. I like doing it. It speaks to my female soul. Like, I like a lot of that type of cutesy stuff. Almost done. That should do it. And then last but not least, toggle on and off. And then take this, bring it into her glove as well. Let's bring some of that blue tone into the bottom of the glove. After that's done, I'm going to do one last check. And after that, merge down. And then I'm going to see if I can actually intensify this part right here, which, let's see how yellow I can make it without it looking too yellow. So I will select all the parts where I'm going to do this experiment on, and last but not least, the shoulder. Can't miss that. Sometimes I miss things. Brightness, contrast, and play around with the sliders essentially. Lower it down a bit. I mean, it didn't really do all too much, but it didn't not do nothing either. So hey, I'm gonna keep it as long as it's not effing up whatever you got, and you know, I might as well keep it even though it doesn't really help improve that much. Alright, next up is the black portion of her suit. So she does have a texture on her suit, which I am used to applying texture through Photoshop, so Paint Tool Sai is purely for blending and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend. You can see I've already added somewhat of a warm tone here. I think I can probably increase that to match. We're gonna have it match whatever's going on in the white fabric. Although I should probably be careful on the black portion of her suit, because one of the characteristics of her suit is that it kind of is sleek, and you don't see a lot of folds, so I have to make sure I don't go overboard, you know? So let's go with this for now, and then I'm gonna grab this real quick, use my pencil tool, and let's see if I can add some shine somewhat. But this is kind of me experimenting a little bit here, because not sure how much of this I can put without it looking like a bit too much. So let's give this a try. So I just dabbed some of this highlight in the lower region of the suit where shadow is, not necessarily putting it into the highlighted area, and then I'll just kind of blur it a bit. Blur it and basically try to cover it up to create that type of shiny fabric look. And soon I'll just zoom out and see basically how how it plays out zoomed out, because that's basically what matters. Um, if your piece look good zoomed out, you've accomplished your goal. Well, it's not that bad, but it is not that great either. I think I'll keep it though. Let's try our best to blend the rest of this in. I just changed the size of the brush to give it a once over to do a little bit of a super blended effect. I'm gonna zoom out once again and then really emphasize that part of the suit, because I need to make sure that this a sharp shadow line stands out, and what I had earlier did not stand out enough, so I just select the upper portion. Now hopefully I can up the contrast enough for the bottom part to be accentuated enough for that nice shadow line to stand out nice and sharp. Also wanted to give her some abs, but is this too much? I hope not. Trying to make it as subtle as possible. Zoom out. I'm going to remove that highlight for now and redo it. And I'm going to use a bit of blue towards the other side of the suit to create a nice velvety texture. And also I can put it down here as well inside the shaded area. Zoom out, flip. Let's add a bit of highlight. Maybe I should just lower her cup size. Maybe that's gonna make her less busty. I don't know. Let me go ahead, select that part. Let's experiment. Make it a little brighter to make that part of the leg really stand out. Merge down. This is before, this is after. I'm gonna create a mask so I can test out maybe have some of the before as well as some of the after. Let's say we can do it like this. And maybe what I'll do is make the bottom part a bit brighter, but only the bottom part so that that cut from highlight to shadow is more visible. Then take this color. Let's add some implied shine. There is a bit of that implied shine in her suit anyway, so add it in. Let's add it this side. So warm tone towards this direction and then cooler tone towards the other direction. Oops. Let's lower the opacity here. Let's go depth. I guess you can't really tell all too well. I guess I'll just leave it like that then. Something is still kind of missing. Let me try another approach for the shading. So I am trying out a slightly different shading and seeing how that plays out. Let me zoom out. Okay, after the rough edit, I'm gonna go ahead and try to blend everything with the watercolor. Revert back to the pencil tool. And I'll just do a bit more editing. And let's lower the opacity. Flip. Flip and then blend. Flip and blend. it is important to just flip every once in a while, and I'm gonna do that, especially for this piece. Since it is so easy just to focus on one side and kind of forget about the other side. I'm just kind of checking out to see if the new paint over I'm doing is working or not working. I didn't expect this part to be take so much time. But I think it does look better. Hopefully. And during this process, I try a bunch of stuff to see which lighting would work better. So I zoom in, zoom out a bit every once in a while to check. Maybe I need to cut that volume from her chest. It's making her look a little too busty. We don't want that. I think that looks better. Definitely less distracting for sure. Okay. I'm trying to give her just a bit of app definition. Although I should also be careful not to overdo it. Don't want to make it too much for this piece. Gotta make it as wholesome and innocent as I can. Let's grab a bit of this. Let's grab that color again. Go with the airbrush and do my best to blend it in. So I'll do the before and after once again. It's getting there, still not, there is still something that I need to, still feels like I need to correct something, so I'll keep working on it until it feels right. Okay, well, I think we should move on to something else, right? Let's call it here for now for the black part of the suit. Maybe it's gonna look better once I add the texture for it. Add a bit of the blue from the coat. I think I'm stuck in the loop of wanting to make it look the way I want it to look. Although I did say I'm gonna stop, but I'm just lying to myself. Uh, Actually, what would happen if I moved that lighting for her belly and made it smaller maybe? So we can try a bunch of stuff like moving things around and whatnot. Or we could try to cover it up entirely. But I think it looks better with just a bit of definition, although I guess giving her too defined of ab might be taking away from this. Flip. Let's go with the in-between. Next up, jacket time. I will zoom in so I can have a proper look. And I'll just start blending everything together as much as I can. At the same time, what I'll also be doing is grabbing certain section of the coat and I'm going to intensify some of the area and also changing the color, although I don't know if I should make it too dark or not. Maybe not a good idea. But I wanted to try it out, see like what color might look better and whatnot. So this is experimenting with color, with the shadow color, and also with the level of contrast it has. And then I'll do the opposite. So I'll grab all the area where I think shadow would be. Let's have a bit around here. And we will do the opposite. So we'll brighten it up. And also I wanted to try to add a bit of that warm tone, although I think that's too much yellow, but I want just a little bit of that. still. Yeah, let's go with that for now. After doing that, I'm going to let's make this whole part dark so not to distract from the highlight from this side. From there, I'll just zoom in and try to blend it together. That's weird. Why is it? Oh, okay. I was wondering why it was kind of coming out more on the yellow side. But then I remember this is watercolor, and this tool tend to have the tendency of doing stuff like this, where it picks up like a very light undertone, and then using that undertone that's not very visible, but it still picks it up, and that's why it's turning yellow. Zoom out. Okay. Let's zoom in a bit here. Onto the other side now. Grab a bit of this. Blend, blend, blend. I can also use a bit of the lasso. I haven't done a lot of lasso lately because there isn't really a need for it. Since Photoshop's blending ability is pretty bad, that's why I use the lasso tool a lot. But with this program, I didn't find too much need for it since it's quite good at blending already. Also, I'm kind of growing to like the whole blended look, uber blendy look. Okay, let's just grab this color, bring it over onto this side. zoom out. Use the lasso tool. I'll select this area in particular. Playing around with the color essentially. I might have to even out the tones a bit. Let's grab this color. Okay, it's leaning more towards green. Merge down. Do a little before and after just to see if what I'm doing is working or if it's improving. I think it did make her whole outfit a lot darker, so what I'll do is add some more lighting or just lower the opacity, I guess. If I lower it, it's not too bad. Or I could just, in general, make this a bit lighter. Like this. That's not bad. It actually works a little better, especially on the smaller preview. So I will go with this color. It's a nice light blue, which matches her, the pink in her outfit, which is good. I can use the lasso tool to do some last minute shadow. Blend the rest in a bit more. And then for the end here, I will blend it in just a little bit, but not too much. Copy it. And I'm testing it out to see. Oh, that might be a bit too bright. Which color works best, basically? Well, nothing too drastic change, so I will keep it like this. I'm gonna continue on. Okay, that should do it. hopefully. Um, I really want to add a bit more shadow underneath this part. Okay, let's finally move on to the pink part now. I'm going to see see how it would look, the pink part with some yellow. So something like that. So I'll grab the color and start adding some of that color onto the pink portion of her outfit, since I still want to have that type of theme going on with the warm lighting throughout. Flip, zoom out, okay, march down, and then basically blend it in now. Grab the airbrush, grab a bit of the blue from the surrounding and adding it into the pink in an attempt to blend it in, kind of. Need to be a bit more on the pink side, so I will go and switch up the hue. Next up is her hoodie, so I will grab a bit of the yellow slash, I guess it's more orange. Save. I haven't saved in a while, so better save. So that is done. I'm gonna leave that. Ooh, should I? I guess I should mute it a bit, depending on the shadow of the hoodie. Muting. There we go. And back to the hair. Alright. Let's go ahead and see what we can do for Miles. Delete. So this is all the red marking for his suit. And that's his suit. Okay. Why do I wanna... I still wanna work on Quinn a bit, but I think I should leave her alone for a bit. let's use that yellow and add a rim light to there's well, Mouse's suit kinda. And I'm gonna try to keep it pretty simple. Actually, let me zoom out for a bit and then I'll do this. Kind of imagining where the highlight could be hitting him on the chest and whatnot. So I just select those areas. Oh, I missed the face. So I'll just... There isn't that much definition on his face, so let's go ahead and make it like maybe this, lower it a bit. Lower, well, create a new layer, but first constrain them down. Let's go with dodge. Dodge. To help me determine the color that's needed. Actually, this brownish shade also works. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and merge everything down. Flip. I'll just do basic blending. Alright. I kind of want to make his fingers be a bit in highlight. Sorry, in highlight too. And then this arm too. This arm is practically having the light hitting it from the top. So this arm definitely is gonna get some brightness. He took aim for like a brown shade. Alright, I briefly added some more harsh shadow to her face and did a little bit of tweak to her shading. Nothing too much. And we're gonna go back to Miles now. Grabbing this, adding it to the tip of his gloves. Not looking too great. Let's add some shadows to the highlight. I think that looks better. And we'll add a bit of rim light to the knuckles. strain it down so it doesn't go outside of his silhouette. Okay, this should be enough rendering for me to for it to kind of get away with it, you could say. Get away with you know, after I turn him a little bit more transparent. Grab a bit of that yellow. Zoom out. Flip. Zoom out and flip. Have a look. Blend it in. Zoom out. Okay, now I merge down. Continue the blend. Okay, next up is the red part, the red motifs of his outfit. Gonna have a bit of that rim light towards the bottom part of his gloves. Gonna focus on the lower portion of his palm, add the highlight there. I'll just add a slight bit of shadow in the other area. Oh, I think the spider should be pretty bright still, so I won't touch it that much. I'll just blend everything else out though. I'm going to select those two parts, and oh, that is super bright. Maybe I should just focus on the hand. The red motifs on his hands only. Lower opacity. Alright, now time for the jacket, which let's do it this way. Oops. I'll just select a section of it. Do it like that. Need to cover up, or let me try to blend this in. But either way, maybe this part of the jacket needs to be a little bit darker. Oops. Something like that. So every now and then I'll just test it out how it looks if I just reduce the opacity, because that's basically how he's gonna appear in this piece, maybe. That looks kind of spooky. Definitely need to probably add a bit more shadow on his face so his mask don't stand out too much. Makes it less mysterious. Maybe I can have it looking like this or something. Alright, so that's that for this part. We will be back for the last part of this voiceover. Probably we'll spend a bit more time experimenting here and there, and I might fix that mask of his. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I need to add additional effects for him to have the invisible effect. Welcome back, guys. As you can see, I did a bit more work, mainly on her face. I did kind of struggle with her face, so, but I think this is pretty close to the style that she looks like in the movie, so I'm kind of happy about it. And also, I painted her hair out just a bit, as well as adjusting her posture so it feels more casual. Uh, Other than that, I think that's it. I also moved her head around, trying to get like a better angle for the pose she's going for. So for this part of the voiceover, I'm gonna be adding some texture to their suit because they have quite a bit of texture. So I went ahead, found this carbon fiber looking texture, and I have been using it on the other pages. So now I'm just going to basically apply it onto what I have for this piece. So I just lowered the opacity a little bit. Let's see. And constrain it, and I just see if it'll look if it'll make the whole piece look better. It does take away some of the highlights, so maybe we could try like on a different layer mode. Maybe something like that. I'll just duplicate that, put it on the other side as well. The positioning is important, so I'll try to find like the best area to put this texture. And basically I'll just keep duplicating this and trying to find different location for this texture, and also I have to play around with the texture layer mode to see which layer mode is the best. And I'll just basically copy it a few times, put it on her suit, although I don't think it's showing up too much. Doesn't really have any effects. See, now this wouldn't be a problem if I did my usual super render style, but since this is a comic style, it's better to keep it a bit simpler. So we'll just have to make do with these two little texture around her chest, because that's where most of the lighting contrast is going anyways. Once I'm good, I merge everything down. I'll just use a bit of the blue to add a nice contrast to the overall warm tone of her bodysuit. Clean up the leg. I'll just keep the rest pretty simple like this. Don't really want to spend time rendering it out. So now let's go ahead and see what we could do with the brick wall here. So this is the shadow I have. Next up, we should try to contrast that with a warm tone. So first color I'm going to test out is this. So it does make it have a pretty intense contrast, which is good. But, you know, we could always try a few other options to see which one is the best looking. So I'll just go into hue saturation and start adjusting it slightly. So let's go with that. It's not as colorful, but it's still pretty good, I would say. The brick wall is good to go. The bag needs to have a bit of paint over, but the most important is Miles. Where did I put that shadow? There it is. I definitely do need that dark shadow just to darken his presence a little bit so that I can make the contrast more obvious later on. And still not too sure how I'm going to demonstrate like the invisibility effect, but let's do this. So I have looked up several screenshots of him. I think that's from the game, but these two are from the movie, maybe this one? Yeah, definitely the movie. So is this. This is the new one, because his outfit looks like the new outfit, and this is the previous movie. But what's important is just to find these really, really high contrast areas, silhouette areas, because that's, I'm looking for those areas to put around what I have for him. That way, I might have some interesting effects. So what I'll do, I'm going to create a group where I'm going to be putting all of these in. So now it's kind of just about tediously matching the the texture to the silhouette, and then I think I'll put it out here. And then what if I like turn this down a little bit? If I turn this down a little bit, I'll still have the full opacity of this right here. So that's good. That's the plan anyways. So I'm gonna move it back again. And for now, I will just use that as a base while I go through each finger with this texture. And sometimes it's good to just keep reusing the same texture. Sometimes, you know, if a texture works, then keep reusing it, because it's kind of hard to find texture that will work sometimes. And when you find that texture that works, every other texture you find, you'll find that it's not as good. It's kind of hard to explain, but yes, our mission now is just to bit by bit, apply this texture to all the fingers until, of course, I find a better texture somewhere. But for now, this one's working, so we'll just keep at it. Okay. Merge down. I'll merge the layers down just to not have too many layers at once, which is messy. Gets messy, so I'll just do that. Alright, so that's done. I think I need a little bit more around this area. Let's put it on screen so I can match to the silhouette of his hand. Actually, maybe I could put this around his sleeve, although I mean, his sleeve doesn't have that texture, but I'm hoping it's going to look the way I want it to look. So we're gonna have a rim layer around his hoodie. Okay, let's go back to here and see if we can find anything. Okay, let's try this. Miles' shoulder. If I can use this on the shoulder that I have as well. Put it on screen. I mean, it doesn't quite make sense, but the point is to just have that high contrast rim around his silhouette to give the effect, the invisibility effect. So hopefully it'll end up working out for me. Go back to this one. This is a nice big highlighted area, so we'll use it around his face. Put it in screen. Yep, starting to get there. It's got that Spider-Verse highlight style that you see quite a bit. Oh, should have just left it the same side as I placed it. Screen. Maybe I should delete this part right here and reapply to highlight his ear. Let's go with screen again. Merge down. Once again, reusing the same texture over and over. Alright. One more time around the shoulder. Lighten. There we go. Merge, merge, merge. Down. Time to highlight his hand. His fingers, sorry. His fingers on the other hand. Slowly but surely we'll get there. I guess I'll just duplicate the same layer then. One more time on his thumb. Okay, let's hope that this works. The lighting is a little bit off for me, but hopefully it'll all come together nicely. Alright. Let's test it out. So, bring it over. Lower down. Oh, okay, that's not bad. So I lowered the opacity for Miles. And also his mask is just standing out a bit too much for my liking. I don't think I did his eye detail on his mask very well, so kind of wanted to hide it. But let's try something out. I mean, if I don't like that part, I can try to hide it by making him a little bit bigger. I always like a bit of size difference, especially when I make the male character a little bit older. Who knows, maybe he can grow a few more inches. It's possible. There's a bump on his finger I don't like. All I have to do is I will just readjust the texture to also cover the bump. Put his opacity lower once again. So yeah, now I think it's definitely looking a lot better. It's reading a bit more invisible. And maybe I can even do this. Because I think that's how they did the effect. Like you see him slowly fading into the environment. So we'll try to kind of do that. Oh gosh, I need to make sure that this part is smooth, so I'll just use airbrush. Alright, so that's just me playing around it a little bit. But it's looking good for that. So with that said, I'm gonna save. Also for the background, it is looking a little pixelated. Mm, so, oops. Let's see if we can add a little effect to it. Media. Kind of do a little bit of a blurring effect so that, you know, it's not as noticeable, hopefully. And then I want to try something out. Let's go into pixelate. Oh, is it here? Yes, halftone right here. Let's do 5. Whoa, okay, that might be a little bit too much. It just adds that comic book halftone effect. Although I think it's a little too much, so let's experiment with the different. Oh, that is intense. Let's see what I can do with it. Let's go overlay. Let's do that, and then I'll only have this halftone texture on the buildings, kind of. Just to see if it gives some extra effect detail to what I already have. I think I can do it for this wall here too. So first I'll just merge it down completely, which means the effect that I had previously on this layer is now permanent. I'm going to extend the white border for this section here, lock it, do some paint over work, doesn't require that much to be honest. Merge down, and then we're gonna try to see if we can add that effect again, the halftone effect, the comic book one. So noise, oh wait, it's pixelated, color halftone. Instead of 20, which was kind of big, let's do 12 and see. Yeah, that's not too bad. Let's go test it out with various layer effects to see which one is the best option. So this one's not bad. It also intensifies the color. What I can do to kind of remove that is just to adjust the texture itself so that um, more of the dots come through without, you know, intensifying the contrast between the buildings. I mean, between the wall already. So okay, I think we are good to go for the background. Just doing a last minute check. Okay. Now I have so many layers for Gwen now because I cut a bunch of well, I had cut her face into a separate group, so I was moving it around, as well as her black suit, which is in a few layers. And I also should remove some of the line art here from the old times, because there is missing some of the areas missing. So, I mean, because I moved the black suit around, that's why the jacket is a little bit missing. That's why there's a random line there. Was previously for the jacket that is now been covered up. Alright, so Gwen is officially basically done. I could do some last minute enhancing of colors later, but I'm pretty happy with how she looks. So I will rotate her a little bit, save, and then bring her back. I was kind of working on her, but now let's reopen this to update with the new version that we have, which, oh, I guess it's taking a little bit to load her up. It's a pretty big file. Alright, so now we have her in here. What I wanted to do is just to paint over that bag a little bit. So I'm gonna find the bag. And we're just gonna cover up some of the details or actually we can enhance some of the details, make it pink. I'm gonna remove this text right here as well as blend parts of this bag in. I'll just smooth out some of the textures to make it fit the overall look of this illustration more. I'm going to grab the pink again and use it as a border for the strap of the bag itself. And basically I want to see how that end up looking like. It does add a little bit of an extra touch to this otherwise very monotone bag design, which fits better for what I have in mind. I'm just aiming for as colorful as I can. I'm gonna create a new layer. Let's go ahead, put on multiply, and then I'm going to add some more shadow onto the bag. Zooming out every now and then because I have to keep track of basically how it's looking like against the character and then the background, making sure that it's not like too bright or too dark. So I think this is a good good amount of shadow. I'm erasing some of the side. Let's do a little before and after, and then I'm gonna create a new layer. Let's go with, this time with Dodge. I'm gonna use a slightly warmer tone. Add highlight towards the top portion of the bag now. Might be a little bit too bright. Let's reduce it slightly. It does look good though. I like the contrast, the overall contrast. Yeah, It definitely does add that little bit of extra detail, especially on this side where it's mostly empty, if not for miles. So that's always good. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, I'm happy with it. I merged everything down. Let's hide miles for now and have a look at the background. I don't typically touch backgrounds because I always have this fear that I might mess it up because it's not my forte. But I would like to adjust the color for this building briefly, so let's try it with multiply. So let's see how that looks. Ooh, I kind of like it. It's like a building's being hit by the sunset in just one section of the building while the rest is still in the dark, which gives a nice little effect and also frames the background as well. Although I don't quite like the color that it has, so I will just play around with it. So this color I like better. Okay, I think that should be it. I'm gonna add my dialogue and then the title, which is gonna be a very long title as usual to make it fun. Okay, what else can I do? Oh, let's try this actually. I'm gonna create a new layer. This is kind of like an overall edit enhancing of color and whatnot. So let's try with soft light first and gonna select a bright color and I'm basically enhancing the already highlighted areas and making it even brighter. So once I have selected or painted over the area that I'm planning to highlight, then I can try to see maybe there's another color that will work better. So I just play around with the editing, whatever edit filter they have, which they only have the hue saturation and um, contrast. Is it? Yes, shadow and highlight contrast. Yes. And then I do a little bit of this every now and then to make sure that, you know, it's not, it's adding something extra to your piece instead of making it not look that great. So always do the toggle on and off of the effect. And then after that, let's go ahead, grab a bit of the blue, and let's see if we can enhance the blue as well. Making some of this area darker. Really creating that contrast. And also I want to add a little bit of this brightness towards the bottom area. I'm just gonna scribble it on for now. Scribble on and then blur it. And then I'll zoom, actually, let's try to see if I can add a bit of the blue. It doesn't really come across that obviously, sadly. But let's do that thing again where we test out with a bit of the filter that this program has. If this was on Photoshop, you could probably do a lot more to edit this layer right here, but yeah, we're just gonna use whatever is available. Alright, so this is what we have for now. And I think that should be it for Gwen in terms of editing. Okay, time to see what I can do with Miles now. Let's go with outlet, create a new layer. Let's do dodge. So let's see if I can actually enhance his silhouette. Not sure if it's needed or if it won't look as good, but I'm gonna give it a try for just this one hand. And then I'll zoom out here. Okay, zoom out and then use the blur to just blur one side of the highlight here. Zoom out. Lower the opacity. I'll test it out with full opacity on Miles and then with low opacity on Miles. Might be a bit too bright. I guess it's not really needed that much. But yeah, it's always good to at least try it and see if it'll work or not. So I guess that would be it for this piece. Let's save. So I imported the file back into Photoshop for finishing touches. I constrained the effect I had from the previous program into a Photoshop edit layer, which can be accessed here, and I constrained it to this layer so it doesn't get out from whatever group all the rest of the layers are in. Basically, I restricted to just Gwen, which is good. So now, I guess we'll just put some finishing touches. Mostly, it's gonna be on her face. I did give her a little bit of freckles, but she does have a bit more, so I used to add quite a bit of freckles using this brush. It's like a speckle brush. A very, very OG brush that I always used back in the days. We can just apply a little bit of that texture. Of course, it needs to be pretty subtle because this brush is kind of loud. So I'll just add a bit of that. Lower the opacity. Actually, probably a bit more. And then using just a normal brush, let's put some more freckles that's has more opacity to it, and then lower the opacity after I'm done. Yeah. So I'm going to hide everything. I just now last minute just look closely at that face basically and try to get as accurate as I can to it, and also notice like the highlight section and where her nose highlight is basically, and yeah, all that is pretty important, especially for this style. I need to be quite accurate with my shading. A bit over here. Put back the freckles and blush. For the blush, I want to see if I can make it a bit more pinkish, yeah, like that. And then go back to the edit layer. I'm gonna zoom in right here and really, so I was trying to replicate that eye texture that she has, which is lots of squiggly, lots of lines, eye lines. Grab a bit of that from the reference. Blend the rest of her eyes in. Zoom out. So I think I made the eyes rendering just a bit cleaner, which is kind of good. I did contemplate giving her eyelashes, but it just doesn't fit the style that much, so maybe I can make very tiny lashes. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of just kills the style with lashes. So I guess we'll just keep it no lashes. We'll just do thick eyeliner and thin eye bottom liner. Alright, there we have it. Gwen is done. And I'm kind of happy that I get to keep a lot of the line work that I did. Previously, I kind of painted it all away, but I'm trying to keep some of my line work and see how I can incorporate it a bit more. And I did end up, doing the line work on multiple layers so that I can play around with the line as well. This is the body lines. I'm going to go ahead and lighten a certain area of the line. Kind of want to call that, go to the white portion of the suit. Looks a little messy. I'll just kind of blend it in a bit. Clean up this area basically. Alright, that should do it. Oh, actually, let me block this in. There we go. Zoom out. I will select underneath this hood, add some of that shadow. Zoom out. Save now. Alright. That's it, guys. Thank you for another voiceover and listening to this. It's interesting to take a whole new approach. Definitely not as mind-numbing as my previous work, uh, which is, I mean, I've been doing the previous style for so many years, so this is kind of fun and exciting, could say. And plus, I think that illustration will become a bit less and less, what's it called? I guess you could say more competitive. So comic is a area that's not often explored by me, so I think there's more room for just testing stuff out. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Thank you. I'll see you guys in the next voiceover. Have a great day or night. Bye bye.